Notice advertising in Burlington County Times and County Courier on January 11th, 2017. And posted on the bulletin board on the same date. Mr. Burrell?
Here.
Mrs. Cloete?
Here.
Mr. Schwartz? Mr. O'Connell?
Here.
Mr. Cattrick?
Here. So we have a number of action items. Let's start with the resolution 2017-113, which is authorizing the 2017-2018 liquor license renewals.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Cloete?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. Next is resolution 2017-114, and that's authorizing various grass cuttings.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Cloete?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. Next is resolution 2017-115. This is authorizing executive session to discuss the following. We've added an item, the EPA Sergeant's contract negotiations and litigation update for 903 Oak.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Cloete?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. Next are a couple of motions. I would ask for a motion authorizing the advertisement of bids for the animal control contract.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Cloete?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. And finally, we have I need a motion granting a mercantile license to the following 5 businesses: Axatech LLC, 1819 Underwood Boulevard; Atena Quality Automobiles, 150 Carriage Lane, Unit 26; Fairview Auto Sales, 8010 Route 130; 5 Star Auto and Truck Repair, 8010 Route 130; and Max of Morristown, 88 Hartford Road.
Make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Cloete?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. So we have a nice full agenda. So let's get started with our sewer disputes. And Jeff, as always, you've had a chance to review these and give us an opinion and an update. So would you run through those for us?
Sure. First one is block 43, lot 1. Indicated they had a leaky faucet and 2 toilets. They provided the information with respect to receipts to indicate that they had made repairs. And after they made the repairs, their usage went from about 10,000 gallons a month to 3,000 gallons a month. And based upon that, if you want to make an adjustment, I'd recommend that they be charged the minimum bill for under 10,000 gallons.
Okay.
The second one is block 16, lot 7. Resident was using indicated they had a leaky pipe and provided an extensive amount of information concerning the repair of the pipe and renovations. They were using about 14,000 gallons per month. After the repairs, they're using about 17,000 gallons per quarter. And if you wish to make an adjustment, I recommend that you base it on the 17,000 gallons a quarter.
Okay.
The next one is block 118, lot 4. And what this one was is that they received a number of adjustments that, for whatever reason, the computer picked up as additional gallons, and they weren't. They were at the minimum the entire time. There was just a bunch of adjustments going back and forth. Their consumption was the minimum, but the way the water company read their own billing, it gave them a significant number, and it should be adjusted to the minimum.
Okay.
Block 99, lot 29 was again a leaky toilet during the time frame that we used to generate fills. They were using about 23,000 gallons at the time, and now they're using about 23,000 gallons per month. And now they're using about 6,000 gallons per month, and I would suggest that, and they provided all the necessary receipts, I suggest if you're making an adjustment that we go with 6,000 gallons per month.
Okay.
Next one is block 107, lot 2. Again, they provided no information in respect to receipts or documentation. They were using approximately 20,000 gallons per quarter during the time that the bill was read. And since that time, they're using about 9,000 to 10,000 gallons per quarter. New Jersey American, this is a commercial property, New Jersey American Water, and they asked New Jersey American Water Company to put literature in there, if they would make an adjustment based on, they felt that there was, these leaks, and New Jersey American Water indicated they don't make any adjustments for commercial properties. So we don't have anything other than the fact that the consumption has lessened almost in half since they said they made changes. And it's a commercial property.
There's no documentation.
Well, there's
There's
documentation.
documentation that the consumption's gone down.
Yeah,
That's
that's it.
Correct.
Right, so there's no documentation as to what they did to make these adjustments? They're just saying that they did some things?
Right.
Can they provide us with the
Yeah, because it
documentation?
could be up back up again. Yeah, I mean, if they could provide something, if they can, I would say.
Well,
Back to them again, I mean, we've asked all of them to provide
Yeah.
something, and they say they don't have any receipts.
And I can understand if New Jersey American Water doesn't make an adjustment on commercial properties, but it would certainly make life easier for everybody if they can provide us what information they have.
Exactly, or some information. We don't,
Maybe, Jeff, if you just tell them.
I'll go back to them that time.
Say, no, we're not going to adjust the bill if you don't provide us with some information, some documentation.
But I think their explanation was that they fix it themselves. Block 1, lot 3101. This was the one, New Jersey American Water Company provided a billing that was in error, and they should be receiving the minimum bill. This was one we had before, and we had to get additional information, and we couldn't find out what the addition was, or what the issue was. New Jersey American Water just misbilled them. They billed them based on a time frame that was not within the time frame that we used to generate our bills. Their usage during that time was 0. So they should be a minimum bill.
Okay.
Block 118.05, lot 3, leaky toilet, water consumption has been all over the place. They indicated that it leaked during the period that we used for our billing. They did provide a receipt. The billings in 17 looks similar to 15. The only thing I could pull out of it, if we rebuild them, we should base it on 22,000 gallons for the quarter. They're still using a lot of water. And
Okay.
block 155, lot 27. Again, this person hasn't gotten back to us yet. This is the one we reached out to quite a while ago for additional, we were told some additional information was coming, didn't really receive it yet. Block 118.19, lot 21. This one, you guys asked for additional information, and the person said that it was due to 2 deaths in the family, that they did not submit it in time. Going back to it, we did go back and look at the history, and they pay right before they go in tax sale every year. They always pay late. But that was their rationale.
So we don't know so this was the.
This one was,
Oh, they
you
disputed it,
had
right,
this
because-
before, yeah, you
Okay.
guys said you would be okay with it if they provided some rationale or some reason. You wanted to hear what the reason was. They're just saying that they had 2 deaths in the
they
family.
provided the documentation that it was necessary,
First time around.
Yeah, they provided it, they just provided it.
and
Like,
then they're saying it's due to.
so, I mean, it seems,
It
seems reasonable to me, they provided it, they were late because they had 2 deaths in the family. That can-
Yeah,
that can be, okay, so to give, so I guess what I heard was that we're giving you the okay to make the adjustments for all except block 107, lot 2, and block 155, 28, lot 27.
yeah.
Okay, we don't need to do anything on that? Oh, just-
Right.
Right. Let me catch up here. Oof. Okay, we have some new owners.
Yep, 5 new owners, based on these sewer regulations, the new owner gets charged the minimum bill.
Yep.
Okay. Do they, I guess they need to come to us, right? I mean, it's always, same thing.
Mhm.
Okay, so the county wants us to talk about the solid waste management plan amendment. Actually, the county doesn't, we need to. Jeff, talk to us about what they want to do.
Sure, when a new recycling plant comes in that wants to be part of the they need to amend the recycling plan for the county. This property was purchased by R.E. Pearson, and they petitioned the freeholders to amend the solid waste management plan to include a facility on Union Landing Road in Timmins, and this used to be the Meredith paving plant. So it's going in the same location. They're going to continue with some asphalt operations, but they're also going to add accepting waste, concrete, asphalt, brick, block, wood trees, stumps, etc. And so they're just, anybody that's within 1 mile, any towns that are within 1 mile of an area that's going to be amended and put in the recycling, the plan needs to be contacted. So they're contacting us. There is a freeholder meeting scheduled for August 9, 2017 at 7 p.m. for this issue. I don't see a whole lot of issues with this. It's far enough away. Quite honestly, we've never had anybody bring up and/or complain about the asphalt operation, and it'd be very similar to what they were doing there in terms of work.
It's not very close to any homes or
No.
frankly, or any businesses.
No, it's really, we have between the operation and before you get to Taylor's Lane, you have the closed landfill that takes up an extensive amount of, so no, there's really
Right.
nothing there.
Put a buffer.
Jeff, one question, the concrete that they take in, do they do that indoors? Is that out in open air? You know?
Usually concrete's outdoors.
You know, my only concern was that, and I didn't know how close this are, you said they have to notify people within a mile of the location?
They have to notify towns that are within
A
a
mile.
mile of, though I'm sure they have to notify other people, but we don't have any residents within a
Okay.
mile.
Yeah, my only concern was that, you know, when they were doing this, especially if it was a breezy day, would there be dust, and would that dust travel more than, you know, a mile?
I would think it would need to be more than breezy.
Yeah.
It's pretty far, so if you go down Taylor's Lane on the
Yeah.
left, there's that closed,
I wanted to take a ride down there, and I
Yeah.
just didn't get a
so,
chance.
so this is on Union Landing, right?
Yeah.
So this is over by Walmart,
Right,
Sam's.
right.
So it's quite a distance from anybody.
Okay. Because they address noise
Right.
in there, but I just didn't see anything about that, so I just made a note to this. Okay.
And next, we have the recycling and solid waste services agreement.
Yeah, the county is looking for the township to execute an agreement with them to run from 2017 to 2021. And they've added some language limiting the annual escalation of fees to 2%. You've seen 2 and 3% from them in the past, so for those 4 years, it would be 2%, that would be a plus. The only other is it directs all of our solid waste to the county landfill. That's where all of our solid waste goes as it stands right now anyway, and quite honestly, the Brunswick County landfill tipping fees are pretty advantageous. One of the things they do very well, and it's tied into the recycling program. In terms of, if you don't participate in that, you basically are hurting the county recycling program, which they, you know, I mean, it comes out of our tax dollars, but the town itself isn't charged any additional money, or the residents, and that's a good program as well. So I don't see any reason, the attorneys review the agreement, and the only other issue is that we would, our condominiums would also have, or not, our apartment complex would also have to go to Burlington County, but I contacted Hunter's Glen, and that's where they already take theirs still, and so it's I don't see an issue with that.
I don't, unless someone has an objection.
No.
I'll just go with
No.
that.
And there's been no significant change in the language from the current agreement, so.
Okay, so the next thing is the Save Streets Initiative.
Sure, I'll start, and then if you have any questions, the chief can chime in. The county prosecutor has initiated a program that would offer municipalities that wish to conduct an operation to request different officers from participating departments across the county. The department that's requesting it would reimburse the cost of these officers from funds recovered from prior criminal activity. The township, if you want to participate, would have to approve a resolution and execute a special mutual aid agreement. In reviewing the agreement, and I sent some comments, or I know Al has took some comments that I had down and maybe replying to the county prosecutor's office. But I also contacted the joint insurance fund because there was just one bit of contract language in there that I didn't particularly think made sense, and that it said that the town that's requesting the aid of the officers would be the responsible party, and it said that they would hold the other towns that were providing officers, they would hold them harmless. But then the very next program, or the very next paragraph says that each town that enters into the agreement would hold the other towns harmless, which sort of doesn't make sense. So we've made, and when I contacted JIF and said, look, this doesn't make sense to me, what they said they had gotten one call about it before, so my guess is it's being communicated to the county. I think, other than, and Chief can make some comments, other than getting that squared away, I don't see any issue with the agreement.
I sent the issue to the county prosecutor, so he hasn't replied yet.
So, because of the, we don't have a lot of meetings in the summer, do we need to approve that resolution? Do we want to say that pending clearing that issue up, that we would put that on the public meeting?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And really, it's just, the first condition indicates what's proper, and the second one kind of confuses the issue. If they can just clean up that second condition, it would be, I think we'd all be fine with that. It just makes sense.
Most of the towns that are in it are joint insurance fund towns, so all of them are going to have the same comments.
Okay, so the next item comes up because this property was actually sold, and this, wait, all right. This is 4037, 130 South, and that is the property where the Dollar Tree is. So when they were originally, they came in at the peak of the recession, where they had asked to phase in their plan because they wanted to get this Dollar Tree open quickly, and the planning board did approve that as a phased operation. They immediately went to work and took the old Frank's Farm and Garden from an eyesore to the Dollar Tree, and the property, the parking lot that has stones and a temporary fence has been that way for, I don't know, 7 years, 6 years, something like that. And they sold the property, so we have to, I think it's time for us to say, hey, you either have to pave and stripe this parking lot or build whatever you were gonna, bring whatever you were gonna do to the planning board to continue.
Is this the parking lot? It's where the post office is?
No, I wish.
Right.
This one is in front of the Dollar Tree.
And then
On the
Okay.
south hand side.
Oh, okay.
That stoned area with the fence.
Right.
So, if we want to do that, all the email string is available to us, but the bottom line is we need to have the zoning officer go out there and say, hey, you were approved by the planning board, and you said you were going to do this, and you haven't done this. It's time for you to, actually, probably the new owners may or may not even know what I would think that they would if it's a commercial property sale. But they need to do something with that area. It's been temporarily a nuisance for a long time. So, therefore, we would authorize you, give you direction to Jeff to have the zoning officer go out and set it up. Good. Next is the Greater Philadelphia Trail Network. And this is the trail that will go, it goes really all over the county and would go along in our town, would go along the river and along the creek. Just snips kind of both the corners of that. And it seems like something, this is the county.
Well, this is actually, the county one would be part of this, but this is the Greater Philadelphia Trail Network, which Matt Johnson from the county has requested us to do a resolution endorsing the plan, which is a 500-mile trail that they want to build, like from Philadelphia all the way to this area. And they're talking about 2025, which even that would be fairly aggressive getting it done by then. But they're just looking for a resolution of support for that. We're already, working with the county on our part anyway, in Delran.
Right, this is the little section by the river, down along the River Road, and then a little section over by Winter's Edge and Anderson Farm, it looks like, right along the creek.
Well, they're asking us to endorse the whole
Right.
idea of the 500 miles, which I
Right.
think is a great idea.
So do I.
If it happens,
If it's done properly, it'll be very nice.
absolutely. The county one, I've read they plan to do it all the way out to Smithville Park,
They
which
do.
would be a great
Yes.
thing. But again, I don't know where the
Okay, so-
funding's coming from.
So we can support that?
Sure.
Yes, sure.
Do we need to do a resolution on the public?
Yeah, they're looking for a support resolution for the public meeting.
Next is a request that we've received and authorized in the past. This was Catholic Charities requesting the use of 3 tables for their ongoing event that they'll use inside the White Cell Construction Building. And they utilize these tables for the Taste of Brooklyn County fundraiser for the Catholic Charities. We've done it in the past. There's no stress, no mess from our side. Obviously, everybody's had a chance to read the description. Everybody okay with that? Okay. And in their effort to fix the bridge on Creek Road, the county is requesting road closures with notifications 2 weeks prior. They indicate that they will keep those off the residential streets, the detours themselves, and they're planning to go Gordon Landing to Hartford to Bridgeboro, rather than going through Summer Hill and the Grand. Is there really any?
No, it's just for informational purposes. As soon as we hear the exact date, and they're saying the end of July, and we haven't been told the duration of the detour yet, as soon as we hear the exact date and the duration, we'll relay it to you and put it on the website.
Yeah, normally they put signs up, they're pretty good at it. I've never been really,
They put up that electronic sign.
exactly.
Okay. So up until now, we're going along very smoothly. And now we're going to bring Greg in. And
I'll grind it to a halt.
so, the Snyder Electric report has come in. We've taken some time to review it. Greg has some perspective on what these recommendations are. I'm sure Jeff does as well, and we all might have questions. So, Greg, you want to do a synopsis for us?
Yeah, I mean, the Schneider Electric basically looked at the municipal building and looked at improvements under the energy savings implementation program for both the municipal building and for the sewer treatment plant. We looked at the sewer treatment plant, because we're very familiar with the infrastructure there. There was a number of recommendations that were made. Basically, our recommendation to you is to tell you that the largest energy user in the plant is the aeration blowers. That's what introduces air into the digestion process for the sludge. We believe that there's merit into looking into that by replacing the centrifugal blowers that you have with high-efficiency turbo blowers. We would recommend that you have us look into the feasibility of doing that. The other recommendations, we don't think there's enough of a payback for that. We recommend that we don't go forward with that.
At the plant.
Correct.
So some of the issues were things that I think were on our radar anyway, like lighting in the courtroom
Yeah.
and lighting in the building.
Yep.
How do we know that what they're telling us is what we truly need? Not, I'm sure they're very trustworthy, upstanding individuals, but what's the normal process to safeguard against any issues?
Okay, well, first of all, they're going to come in, any energy savings provider is going to come in and look at the entire plant, if you will.
Right.
And what they're going to do is they're going to make recommendations, and those recommendations are going to have a certain payback. And that's what you have to look at. The issue that you have is I'm not 100% sure the condition of all your existing plant, like your lighting, your MEP equipment, your mechanical, electrical, those types of things. So normally what you would do is rather than doing everything, you probably want to independently have somebody that you hire to look at, how far along the useful life that certain of these elements are. There's certain things you can do that are low-hanging fruit. The lighting is going to immediately give you a good payoff. The advantages to doing implementing the ESIP is that you get all new stuff, which is great to have. And you can finance the improvements through the energy savings. So there's a huge advantage to doing it. I would say you have to be a little cautious to make sure that you're not implementing change where it may not be necessary, that you may have more useful life in what you have. So my recommendation to you is that, and I do not have an MEP division, but I work very closely with a number of them. If you wanted to have us have someone take a look at the report, get your proposal to come in and take a look at it, and similar to what we did with the plant, they can do with the municipal building. So rather than going ahead and saying, and just saying, yeah, do this, don't do that, I think you need a little bit more intel before you proceed with it. So that would be my recommendation to you.
If you were to prepare kind of an RFP or whatever it would be, we would get pricing obviously in advance of anybody doing anything. But you would take out, what you think would not be a return? And
Yeah, if we looked at it, and my recommendation to you is, the first step is to bring in an MEP engineer to look at it, which you don't need to go out for that. I mean, I'm not going to benefit from it all, but I can bring them to the table and have one or two of them do a proposal for you. Once you agree on, like if they concur with all of the findings and recommend you go forward with all of them or portions of them, then you can go to the ESIP and say, okay, go ahead and move forward with this. Or you can do them independently on your own. There's no obligation for you to use them.
Right.
So we can recommend a course of action, but the first step is to have a professional come in, take a look at the Schneider report, come in, take a look at the plant, and then make those recommendations. So obviously, things that we felt that we didn't need to do off the bat, we would tell you that. Similar to what we're doing here, what we did with the sewer plant. You'd have a similar report for the building.
Are they knowledgeable enough to look at like the rate of return and stuff for the different items if we were to implement the change?
Well,
I'm just asking
the energy service providers do a good job with that. And I will tell you that if we agree with the changes that are going to be made, the financial aspect of it, all we have to do is just check the estimates to make sure that what the cost that they're saying it's going to be is true, and it's going to give you that rate of return. So the answer is yes. We're not going to have you proceed unless we're confident that those rates of return and the budgeted estimates they come up with are all right.
Okay.
How long will it take to get someone to come in and do that?
I'd give me probably 3 weeks to do that. What I would do is I'd immediately, talk to the engineers, then I would schedule them to come in. So I'd say probably 3 weeks would be, I think, a good time frame to come in, have them look at everything and then give you an estimate.
so from a layman's perspective, we had Schneider Electric do this big, let's look at everything deal. They came up with recommendations. Now we're gonna have one or two additional professionals look at it and say, yeah, if we were gonna do, we think you should do this, this, and this. Here's how much it would cost. Same thing from the other folks.
There'll be one professional, but I give you an option. I'll probably present two proposals to you, just so you can
Right.
choose what, I work with a number of them.
Okay.
So that's how it would work.
Well, this council has always erred on the side of caution. So I think that having another professional come in and take a look at what first professional recommended is a great idea.
And there was no cost for that first proposal, so just remember that. So that's a
And
good
there's,
thing.
and there's no cost for this proposal either, is there?
Not
Do
for
a
the
proposal,
proposal.
no. But they're naturally to come in and look at it.
Do
Would
the
be
audit.
probably, it may be the only thing that they're involved with, so I would.
No, I got you, but at the same time, it's saving us money in the long run and not putting out additional money that we don't have to spend.
Right. It'd be well worth the value.
And that's what I'm getting at, yes.
And I think Schneider had anticipated that because they said when they provided this report that it was a very cursory overview of some of the items, and they would have to look further into these to find out whether or not there really would be, a direction that they want to go in some of these projects.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, obviously, we've talked a lot about the ordinances for capital, and since we didn't really have any questions about them, certainly if the council has questions, this would be the time to talk about them. But what I think we can do, in order to get everything back on track schedule-wise, can we introduce these tonight? Is that something that we can do, Joe?
I think so.
Yeah, we can do that, and then that would put us in line for the public hearing prior.
Yeah, the sewer capital ordinance that you have, the 2017-9, is the one that you did authorize to move forward with when you authorized the general capital. It just wasn't done in time for the meeting.
Right.
And the second one is the one that we received a grant for from the community, the park, Bronson County Park Program. Most of that money is coming from the $180,000 grant, but we had when I had the list, I actually had the lighting in the list, but we didn't provide for the money in the ordinance, so we had to do a separate ordinance, and we needed to do one that shows the grant anyway. So this would bring in and complete the items that you had discussed at the previous work session and said you wanted to move forward on.
So, unless somebody has questions procedurally, we would just do these individually and do a roll call. So I'll ask for a motion to approve, this will be a first reading, correct? First reading on ordinance 2017-8. This is an ordinance for the bond ordinance with appropriating $225,000 and authorizing the issuance of $45,000 in bonds or notes. And this is the grant. There's more that needs to be involved in.
All you have to do is by title only.
By title. Should I read the whole thing? Or was that enough?
I read the whole thing. You want to hear
I'll be
your
happy to do that. So I need a motion to approve ordinance 2017-8. This is a bond ordinance providing for acquisition and installation of sports lighting at Delran Community Park in and by the Township of Delran and the County of Burlington, State of New Jersey, appropriating $225,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $45,000 in bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
So moved.
I'll second.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Chloe?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye.
And the intent is to have that public hearing the same night as the other public hearing for the other capitals. They're all the same night.
And next is ordinance 2017-09. And this is a bond ordinance providing for various 2017 sewer utility improvements by and in the Township of Delran in the County of Burlington, State of New Jersey, appropriating $2,260,000 therefore from the sewer utility of the township and authorizing the issuance of $2,260,000 in bonds or notes to finance the cost thereof.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Cloete?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. Okay. Next, we have do we have that? So next, we have the responsible bidder language to be included in or the responsible contractor language, actually, to be included in requests for proposals for $1 million plus. As we've all read, this in essence would ensure that responsible bidders were indeed using responsible contractors and subs. Nobody had any questions in advance. If anybody has any questions now, what do we need to do? This is just kind of a policy move. We just need to say, yeah, we'd like to include it in those larger requests, and it's just included.
Yes, you could do that. If you felt that you wanted to do it by resolution, there's nothing stopping you from doing it that way as well. But the most important thing would be that it's included in the bid notice.
Okay. So, why not make it do it by resolution? I guess that would be, other than a nodding of heads.
What would be the quickest or the easiest?
So it'll be the easiest.
The easiest would be just to accept and say that this is now township policy, or we can have a resolution, we could do it at the next public session.
Why don't we just do it tonight?
Yeah.
Then, because it'll be, then,
Yeah, it's just a policy, you know. Therefore, we don't need a resolution or a number.
Well, if you're just doing a motion now, if we're doing it by resolution, we should have a resolution.
Yeah, so
But
let's
if you
just,
want to make a motion,
I say we do it that way.
yes.
Anybody want to make a motion for
So
that?
the motion you're approving is to include the language in the specs going forward in contract?
Correct.
And
For
this
$1 million.
This is over a threshold of $1 million for big projects.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
You could do it.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mrs. Cloete?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
Aye. And we do have, that's completed what we can do in public session, so let's get reports from our department heads and staff that are here with us. Chief, I'm going to start with you. Do you have a report for us this evening? Jamie, anything for us this evening? Nothing? Jeff, anything for us this evening?
Nothing for open.
Doing good so far. Brian, anything for us this evening?
No, nothing.
Greg, do you have anything for us?
Only to say that we're receiving bids for the road program on Thursday.
Oh, great.
That's for White Marsh and, because I got a call
That's
today,
that's
great.
the combination. That's awesome.
Oh, good.
That'll be
Sure,
great.
let's have it in my input to ask, that's great.
Good. Everybody read Jim's report. Didn't seem to be anything out of the ordinary. Looked good. So let's go around the table. Dan, you have anything for us today?
I'd just like to thank, is it the Turkish community that invited us to the?
Muslim community.
Yeah, the Muslim community invited us to their mosque, and I don't want to take up too much of the remarks because everybody else was there and they might want to say something, but it was very interesting. The people were very appreciative of us being there. They obviously had seen the mayor and council president before. And, you know, we live in interesting times, and I think sometimes learning about the differences between us goes a long way to eliminating stereotypes and maybe even eliminating some problems. But it was a very interesting evening, and I was very appreciative of the invite. And that's all.
Thank you. Tyler, anything?
Report this week.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, look at.
Well, that's all right.
Busy.
Patty, yeah.
Okay, no, it'll move quickly. Just a very quick update on the chicken project, just to let you know that it is getting very good reviews and the people that are participating. They said that they wanted me to pass on to the council to thank you very much for passing it in such a timely manner. We had set June as the date where we would have everything done, and we thought that was pushing it, and it really went through smoothly, so they were very appreciative of that. The woman Gwen, that is basically the chicken expert in South Jersey that runs the classes, she has said that our ordinance and our project seems to be the gold standard now. Cinnaminson has contacted our program for information on how we went about it to get it started in Cinnaminson. And she said that because they took ordinances from all over the state and worked on them for the Delran ordinance, that it's setting, pretty much setting the standard. And also the fact that I think that we have Beth Thompson, who's a veterinarian, running the entire program. She has expertise in the field, answers for everything, and they are, they're being very careful and sticking to the rules and regulations that we laid down. So they did say that they wanted to thank us for that, and it seems to be going. We had, I think, 4 requests so far for or licenses.
We've had 6.
6, okay, and I think 2 are actual.
2 have been completed.
Yes, and the others all have gone to the class, and they'll go from there. Another thing, the movie night at the park was this past weekend, and Bob Kennedy, I thought he would be here, but if he wasn't, I was to give you the report. About 150 people showed up. The AA, the REC, and the Delran Fire Department all participated. They said the Delran Fire Department, he said they were wonderful, like just with helping direct traffic, which was no problem whatsoever in the parking lot, but he said they just kind of pitched in wherever they were needed. And you were there for a while, right, Tyler?
Yeah.
And they said it was terrific. And when all was said and done, Burlington Auto, the Kia, Chevy, Honda, and Volkswagen, they sponsored the whole thing. They paid for everything. And they were, I think, extremely happy with that too. And they're looking to maybe do more sponsorships for things at the park, evenings out. And Bob said that he looked on the Facebook and lots of positive responses. And so they're looking to do it again. And they'll go through the permit process as they did. And there was I know a little glitch, but that was just, I think, an oversight, and they'll do that. And then with regards to the park, this is just a question, I guess. Batting cages, picnic tables are ready to go forward. Who does Bob we're ready to order? They're ready to order them. Who do they do? Should they go through you, Jeff, with all of that? Yeah. Okay. And then I guess maybe the remember I told you about the bricks too. Could it go from the corner? Should he come to you with all of that, where the bricks and especially the handicap signs and all of that? Yeah. Okay, then I'll just leave that out. And last but not least, from the evening at the mosque, I spoke to a young high school student there, and she's in charge of the volunteers for the mosque, community outreach for the mosque. And one of their projects is to beautify the outside of the mosque, plantings and different things like that. And she wanted to know how we could possibly get, how our community could help their community and just work together. So my thought was possibly the green team. Mm-hmm. So could I go forward and present this to the green team, that maybe they would want to work to give ideas for landscaping and what kinds of trees and things? And they'd be working with the youth of the mosque. And that's it. Thank you. And Jeff, I'll talk to you about all the things.
Great. So again, just to echo, we had a great experience. It's certainly always well attended, and the Ramadan is just great to hear the various cultures in town. Turns out I went to school with one of the members of the mosque at Delran High School, and the father of one of the other students that I went to school with. And they're just, warm, family-oriented, regular folks who have a different religion. All professionals, good people, value education just like the rest of us, good citizens. So I really enjoyed that time spending with them. And also want to remind you that our blood drive is July 5th. It's kind of a bad day because of the holiday. And And because of that, the appointments are a little low. So if you know anybody who are regular donors, I would ask that you can spread the word. Do we have something on our website and Facebook page? Okay. Good job. So that's really all my report. Ken, you have anything for us this evening?
I'm gonna, I guess, follow up exactly
Follow
what
away.
Jude said, and also Dan. I was also I was actually at 2 Ramadan dinners. I was at a Turkish Ramadan dinner the night before, and I was also at the Muslims Ramadan dinner the night with Gary and Dan and Patty and Tyler. Also, I'm gonna tell you, right, fantastic people. It's the different cultures that we have in this town, and they're all great people, and we have a great community, and like I said, it's a learning experience, and it's something that I do every year, and I enjoy doing with them every year. And like I said, they're part of the Delran residents. We're all a group, and everybody gets along well, and it's a great community, and I enjoy it. Also, I wanted to mention, I wasn't at, I think Alvina had want to talk about, somebody want to talk about it? Because I know Gary and Tyler were at that, right?
Right.
Yeah, that was.
So,
No, I'll be back.
okay, so thanks for the reminder. Lot going in town. It was incredibly well attended. There had to be somewhere around 100 people that were here. With some folks that were caretakers, some folks that had macular degeneration. They had a number of professionals, doctors, folks that could help them with devices that and help them with the ability to pay for them through Medicare and various things. It was very educational. They ended with a motivational speaker that had macular degeneration, I think, from birth, and is legally blind, and became, got involved with the business, and they sold this business as $1 billion business, and now he speaks, just letting people know that it's, the macular degeneration, and for some, legal blindness is something that you have to deal with and adjust your life to and go on and do well. And it was just an incredible presentation. Thank you to the RAC who put that together. Albina, kind of drove the ship on that one because she had attended something similar and wanted to bring that to Delran, and it was great that she did. Thanks to the RAC for doing what they seem to do every time there's an event. Just come in, put it together, do the work, and don't really look for the pat on the back. Thanks, of course, to L&M Bakery, who always provides very tempting sweets, and to all those professionals that donated their time to come on out and do this. So, thanks, Ken.
And I just wanted to follow up with the community park. I think that was great that the Athletic Association, working with the RAC and the fire department, put on the night at the movies at the community park. It's just one of hopefully many things that they can do, and it seems like the Delran residents really enjoyed it, as well as the athletic community, so that was hats off to them. And last but not least, I would definitely like to thank our emergency services, our police, our EMT, and our fire department. We had a lot of situations this past month with residents and emergency situations, and they did a fantastic job in handling all and communicating everything. So thank you very much, Chief, and everybody else. They did a great job. So that's it.
Great, thanks, Ken. So I need a motion to open it up to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we're in public. Everybody here are season ticket holders, so we'll go around the room. Jen, have anything for us tonight? You're good?
Yeah, this time.
Okay.
That's okay. Not.
It's okay.
Rich? Yeah.
Yeah, Richard Brockenberger, 84 Old Avenue. As I was at the township meeting, said to come here. My big concern is they're building a house next door in the floodplain. And my concern, about pushing water. I just hope they're, like you said, they're probably following through. But I was wondering if the engineer, the qualified engineer, has a dated paper signed and sealed that it will not push water on other people's property. and I hope he doesn't build up. That lot took a lot of water, and the water went through. I hope he doesn't fill in the front so the water can't go by. That's my big concern.
Right. So, Jeff, you know what property we're talking about, that's building done there by Mr. Krockenberger's house. If you would, just make sure that all the proper certifications are in place, and whatever has a question, we reach out to the engineer.
Yeah, I'll discuss it with the construction code official tomorrow, and if he's got questions, I have him contact Greg.
Okay. We'll make sure that everything they're supposed to do, they did.
Thank you.
Sure. Nothing. Okay. So Chief, unless you'd like to bring something up.
You have something I can help you bring up?
Negative. Okay. So I'll ask for a motion to come out of public.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And now I need a motion to go into the executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay,
Didn't
we're
you
gonna-
come in?
Take care.
We're gonna-